just compensation of acquired lands from farmers to ensure fairness in the Department of Agrarian Reform, Ilocos Sur.
While the Department of Agrarian Reform, the DAR, exists to protect farmers and distribute land through agrarian reform, it has no legal authority to prevent government from reclaiming land under eminent domain, a law that allows the state to take private property for public use, such as roads or infrastructure. Although this process is supposed to include just compensation, in reality, payment is often delayed, inadequate, or unfair. As a result, farmers who have legally acquired land through agrarian reform can lose it again with little power to fight back. In many cases, the seized land doesn't even end up serving a legitimate public purpose, making the laws feel even more unjust. Because DAR cannot intervene, farmers remain vulnerable to repeated displacement and economic hardship, stuck in a cycle that undermines the very reform meant to protect them. Reforms are urgently needed to ensure that the land is only taken for true public needs, with fair and timely compensation, and with real safeguards for the farmers who feed the nation.
A major issue arises when the government exercises eminent domain on lands redistributed to farmers through agrarian reform. Although the Department of Agrarian Reform aims to protect farmers' rights, it has no legal authority to block land seizures under eminent domain. As a result, farmers often lose their only source of income and stability despite receiving land through reform programs. While the law requires just compensation, farmers frequently face delays, insufficient payouts, or even land seizures that ultimately fail to serve a clear public purpose. The limited power of DAR to intervene leaves farmers vulnerable, unable to contest these actions effectively. Given the continued misuse of eminent domain and its harmful impact on farmer livelihoods, there is a pressing need for policy reform to ensure that land acquisition is truly fair, timely, and justified.
These are the proposed alternatives or proposed solutions. First, eminent domain shall not take land from farmers given to by the DAR without just compensation. Second, eminent domain shall not be performed if it fails to meet criteria for public usage. Third, eminent domain should not take land from farmers if it is being used as their only source of livelihood. Fourth, greater rights for farmers to advocate and fight eminent domain.
To determine the most effective way to protect farmers from the misuse of eminent domain, we conducted a cost benefit analysis of four proposed solutions. The top ranked solution was to give farmers more rights to fight back as it empowered them to legally defend their land with relatively low cost, mostly limited to legal delays, resulting in a strong benefit to cost ratio of 2. Second was the proposal to not take their land without just compensation, which ensures farmers receive fair and timely payment, though it requires more government spending, giving it a ratio of 1.5. Tied for third were two other solutions with equal benefit cost ratio of 1. One was to only allow eminent domain for real public use, which adds fairness and prevent abuse but may delay necessary projects. The other was protecting land that is farmers' only income, which strongly supports the most vulnerable but difficult to verify and implement. Overall, giving farmers more legal rights offers the best balance of impact and feasibility. This approach enables them to stand up to unfair land seizures while keeping government costs and delay manageable. Each solution was rated carefully based on the practical impact on farmers and the potential burdens on the government. The analysis highlights that legal empowerment is the most practical and beneficial path forward.
The stakeholder analysis is a tool that helps to identify all the groups or otherwise known as stakeholders in a project or proposed policy. For the first solution, don't take agricultural land or DAR land without just compensation. The key stakeholders identified from this table are the Department of Agrarian Reform, the legislature, and the Department of Budget Management. DAR is shown to be supportive while the DBM could be a blocker due to their potential concerns to the budget. The strategy here to gain the support of the DBM or potentially avoid their obstacles is to lobby for their fair allocation and highlight long-term benefits to farmers. In the second solution, only allow eminent domain for public use or review if it is indeed for public use or serves its purpose as public use. Will focus on clarifying legal definitions. The judiciary and the non-government organizations for farmers are supportive, while lawmakers may be neutral. Public campaigns and legal advocacy can help this push forward. The third solution, protect land that is a farmer's only income, puts farmers at the center. Most stakeholders are supportive from this table as seen, especially the DAR and the non-government organizations. Strategies can include legal protections and local government engagement. And lastly, for the fourth solution, providing farmers with greater rights for advocacy and combating eminent domain, all the key groups like farmers, non-government organizations, and legal institutions are supportive. The focus here is improving the legal access and legal help to help strengthen for collective action and help our farmers defend their agricultural land or otherwise their livelihoods.
Solution 1 ensures that lands given to farmers by DAR can be taken through eminent domain without just compensation. Its strengths promotes fairness and builds trust in the government while helping farmers stay financially stable if their land is taken. Its weakness, however, there is concern about what qualifies as just compensation. It could also raise the cost of infrastructure projects. For its opportunities, it opens doors for better land governance and lets the government still build needed public services in sustainable ways. And for its threats, challenges include the risk of forced land seizures, undervaluing land, or wealthier owners having more legal power than small farmers. Solution 2 proposes that eminent domain should only proceed if the project clearly meets the criteria for public use. Its strength prevents land from being taken for vague or unjust reasons. It empowers farmers to take legal actions and help reduce corruption. Its weakness, however, it may delay infrastructure, development, and cause conflict over what qualifies as public use, especially in rural areas. For its opportunities, it can lead to better land governance and push agencies to design truly beneficial infrastructure. And for its threats, still, there's a risk that projects may be labeled public use based on political influence and implementation may vary between regions. Solution 3 argues that farmers should not lose their land to eminent domain if it serves as their main source of income or livelihood. Its strength protects vulnerable farming communities, helps them maintain income, and supports food security by preserving agricultural land. For its weakness, some might falsely claim livelihood dependence to avoid land acquisition. It can also restrict infrastructure growth in rural areas. For its opportunities, it can promote sustainable farming and push the government to consider less harmful alternatives for development. And for its threats, there's still a risk of forced acquisition or legal loopholes. Some landowners might misuse land, and farmers could face difficulties if current laws favor acquisition. Solution 4 focuses on giving farmers greater rights to advocate against land seizure under eminent domain. Its strength empowers farmers to stand up for their rights, helps prevent government abuse, and strengthens their income and crop productivity. Weaknesses. The policy may not be evenly applied in rural versus urban areas, and some farmers may lack awareness or legal knowledge to fully use their rights. It can also slow down infrastructure projects. For its opportunities, it opens doors for support systems, legal education, and better land rights legislation. And for its threats, government resistance, rising land disputes, and the potential misuse of advocacy tools remain possible risks.
As shown in the matrix, the criteria used to evaluate this policy includes feasibility, effectiveness, acceptability, and cost, which are all essential in determining whether eminent domain should be exercised. The solutions are adjusted compensation, direct assistance, land value assessment, and advocacy rights. Among the proposed strategies under this solution, adjusted compensation received the highest total score of 93, with a strong performance in effectiveness, 30, feasibility, 27, and acceptability, 24. This emphasizes that the policy can give a significant public benefit with a wide support. Its cost score 12 reflects moderate source demands likely due to the need for assessment and land processes. The land value assessments also performed well with a total score of 89, which emphasized the strength of the policy that ensures that land is only taken when it's justified. In comparison, lower scores for direct assistance, 68, and advocacy rights, 65, suggest that these components may be helpful but are less impactful compared to the first two.
Implementing a policy that prohibits land acquisition through eminent domain without just compensation aims to enhance land governance and promote fairness toward farmers. Under current practices involving the Department of Agrarian Reform, land is sometimes taken from farmers for public infrastructure projects without proper due process. Compensation is often determined solely by the government, leaving farmers with limited input or avenues for redress. This proposed policy ensures that landowners receive fair and timely compensation, safeguarding their property rights and financial stability. According to the cost-benefit analysis, the policy received a high benefit impact score of 3 due to its direct positive effects on farmer welfare and financial security. It was assigned a cost impact score of 2, acknowledging that fair evaluation and compensation require more government resources and time, which could potentially delay infrastructure projects. With a benefit-cost ratio of 1.5, the policy ranks second among the 4 evaluated options. In the stakeholder analysis, the Department of Budget and Management was identified as a stakeholder of high importance with considerable power and moderate mobilization capacity. Its blocker instance stems from its role in disbursing compensation funds and possible concerns about financial implications. Effective coordination with implementing agencies is crucial to facilitate smooth policy implementation and minimize resistance. The DAR was rated with high importance, a strong power, and moderate mobilization, and is seen as a supporter due to its role in guiding farmers through the land acquisition and compensation process. The SWOT analysis outlines several key points. Among the weaknesses are increased project cost and the risk of land being acquired even if not used productively for its intended purpose. On the other hand, the policy offers opportunities to improve land governance, promote sustainable infrastructure development, and support rural advancement through projects like schools and healthcare facilities. Potential threats include forced land acquisition, inflated land values, and unequal access to legal resources, which could hinder the policy's goals if not properly addressed. Finally, in the matrix of evaluation, this policy received a total score of 93 out of 100. It earned a feasibility score of 27 as the primary challenge lies in ensuring due process in evaluation and compensation. It scored 30 for effectiveness, as it guarantees fairness and helps farmers remain financially stable post-acquisition. With an acceptability score of 24, it shows promise in building trust among farmers toward the government. The cost score was 12, indicating a relatively low cost overall. The compensation may vary by land size and value, potentially increasing project expenses and causing delays.
So for solution 2, we have the eminent domain shall not be performed if it fails to meet the criteria for public usage. So this solution is very self-explanatory as it utilizes criteria as a basis for continuing the practice of eminent domain. So the implementation of a policy that restricts the power of eminent domain using criteria and limitations for public usage allows both eminent domain and farmers to practice moderation. Eminent domain is decided by the government and is almost absolute, which gives farmers fewer opportunities to voice out concerns. So with these criteria and limitations, we can ensure fairness for the government, farmers, and landowners. And the main goal of this eminent domain is to take land that can be better used for the public. If the exercise of eminent domain fails and does not meet the public's need, then it must be forfeited and suspended.
Solution 3 proposes that the government should not take land from farmers if it is their only source of livelihood. This protects farmers from losing their income and help maintain food security and rural stability. It earned a high benefit score of 3 in the cost benefit analysis, but also a high cost score of 3 because verifying income sources is complex, giving it a balanced benefit cost ratio of 1. Farmer unions and NGOs support this policy due to its fairness and potential to improve farmer well-being, though they lack the power to enforce it alone. The SWOT analysis showed that while the policy protects vulnerable farmers and promotes sustainability, it may be abused or cause delays in development projects. Opportunities include encouraging sustainable farming and pushing the government to find fairer alternatives. However, threats include potential misuse and legal loopholes, especially for farmers lacking legal knowledge. In the evaluation matrix, the policy scored 89 over 100, with high marks for effectiveness and acceptability, though feasibility and cost remain challenges. It is a balanced solution that favors farmers' protection but needs strong system for proper implementation. Overall, this policy offers significant benefit, especially to farmers in rural areas, despite its challenges.
This policy strengthens farmers' rights to resist unjust land seizure through eminent domain by empowering them with legal knowledge and advocacy tools. While the goal of eminent domain is to serve the public, it has often harmed farmers. It has harmed farmers by stripping away their land without adequate protection. This policy aims to fix that imbalance by ensuring that farmers can fight back. Cost-benefit analysis shows that despite its low implementation cost, the policy offers moderate benefits by creating pathways for farmers to resist exploitation. It scored first in the cost-benefit ratio amongst the four policy options. In stakeholder analysis, while farmers and NGOs show moderate power and mobilization, the judiciary remains neutral but vital to the policy success. SWOT analysis highlights the potential for greater land justice, improved farming productivity, and reduced corruption. However, uneven implementation, legal illiteracy, and resistance from powerful sectors pose serious challenges. Finally, in the policy evaluation matrix, this policy scored lowest overall, mainly due to concerns over feasibility, support systems, and legal barriers. But it still stands out for its moral and social impact, offering hope for more just and equitable land rights.
Based on, based on our analysis, Solution 3 is the most effective solution for addressing eminent domain issues that impact our nation's farmers. Solution 3 prioritizes the protection of farmers' lands, their rights, and livelihoods, recognizing that many farmers depend entirely on their land for income. By preventing unjust land seizures by the government through eminent domain and ensuring fair compensation, it directly supports their financial stability and long-term well-being. What sets Solution 3 apart from the four solutions given is its comprehensive approach to not only safeguard legal rights but also consider the economic and social consequences of displacement from this seizure. With the Department of Agrarian Reform providing legal support, farmers are better equipped to navigate complex proceedings. This solution ensures that development projects proceed without sacrificing the welfare of the vulnerable farming communities of this nation.
This policy proposes fair and effective reforms to the use of eminent domain with four distinct solutions addressing key concerns. Solution 1 calls for just compensation and legal due process. Solution 2 sets clear criteria for defining public use. Solution 3 protects farmers' livelihoods by preventing unjust land seizures. Solution 4 empowers farmers through legal advocacy and participation in decision making. These solutions collectively stress the need to balance development with farmers' rights. Ultimately, land policies must uphold justice, public benefit, and meaningful participation to ensure fairness and sustainability.
The Department of Agrarian Reform should focus on supporting farmers to have rights over their lands as it is their main source of livelihood. Once their lands are taken, DAR should take action on acting as a guide to due process to ensure that they are rightly compensated by the government or eminent domain. The government should collaborate with the Farmers Association to help them understand their rights over their lands and the importance of crop production for economic development in the society. Lastly, the Department of Agrarian Reform should also collaborate with the government to ensure that the effective implementation of the best solution will significantly affect farmers and the public interest fairly.